If you've been a listener of this podcast very long, you know that I have a number of courses. I have coaching that I do. I don't really refer to myself as a coach because I don't like that term. I'm a trainer. I want to teach you how to do something. You guys know what I'm about. And if you don't know, well, today we're going to explain why I call myself a trainer. I'm not a consultant. I'm not a coach. I'm a trainer. I'm a teacher. So before we get into that topic, I want to remind you guys I'm going to be in Houston, Texas, July 29th and 30th of this year, that being 2024. They are holding an expo. It's called Food Truck Owners Expo. And I'm going to be one of the presenters. I'm giving two classes, one on creating a profitable menu. The second one is on marketing in the off season, if you have an off season. And then in between those two classes, I'm going to be out on the main floor. They're going to have a little area for me. They're calling them campfire sessions, where you guys can sit down and talk to me one-on-one or within a group and ask all kinds of questions about the food truck industry, or you can just listen to me talk about the food truck industry. Again, that is July 29th and 30th of this year. It's in Houston, Texas. Go to ftoexpo.com, order your tickets, and when you do order those tickets, put in the code FTTG15 and you'll get a 15% discount. Welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business coach, author of 5 food truck vending books, including Food Truck 101 and Food Truck 201. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business. How confident are you about your menu pricing? Are your prices profitable, or are you just scraping by? If you're not sure, I've got just what you need. Table Needs has built a super simple menu pricing calculator that you can use for free, and it will help you figure out the best price point for every item on your menu. Get started with Table Needs menu pricing calculator today at tableneeds.com, or you'll find a direct link in the description below the podcast. So let's talk about the difference in what I do, being a business trainer and loosely a business coach, versus a consultant. A trainer, like I am, focuses on developing skills and helping you within your business. We're going to equip you and equip your employees with the knowledge and abilities necessary to perform whatever job description you have. Specifically, we're talking about food trucks. I'm not a generic business coach. I'm not a life coach. I'm going to teach you how to run a food truck. Now, you contrast that with what a consultant does. Whether it's a restaurant consultant, a food consultant, or somebody that just opened a food truck and now they're calling themselves a consultant, they address specific problems. So you got an issue, you call them up, they're going to provide you with solutions. They're not necessarily going to teach you how to fix it. All they're going to do is tell you what to do to fix it. And then maybe you'll remember, maybe you won't for the next time. Or you could have a whole different set of circumstances that create the exact same problem, but because they didn't teach you anything, you're going to have to call them up again. Consultants want repeat business. They're not going to teach you how to do anything. I don't want you to have to depend upon me 2 years down the road. I want to teach you enough about your own business that when you run into a problem, you don't have to run to me and go, Bill, help. Bill taught me how to do this. I can fix this. And then you fix it. So think about a food truck that's struggling with high food cost. If they even recognize it. A lot of food trucks don't even recognize they have high food costs. They just wonder why they're not profitable. Well, there's your first sign. Look at your food cost. A consultant's going to come in and analyze the problem, and they're going to suggest ways to reduce costs generically. They might even look at your numbers and say, well, here's this problem, fix it. A trainer, somebody like me, I'm going to teach you and teach your staff how to manage the inventory. And we're going to go through all the steps. It's not just you're creating too much waste. We're going to talk about it from start to finish. Where can you get better deals on your food and your supplies? How do you manage the inventory? How do you monitor the expenses? And how do you do it on a daily basis? How are we going to count waste? And I'm going to give you the tools necessary to make those kind of things happen. What I want you to be able to do is make sure that the food cost remains low. And at the point that it may creep up in the future, you know what to do. A trainer is going to provide support and accountability. I want you to be successful in sessions with me because they're ongoing sessions. A consultant is a one-time deal. You say, I want you to do X, Y, and Z, and they're going to do X, Y, and Z and not one thing more without charging you. Trainers, coaches, they provide ongoing support and follow-up sessions. We want to ensure that the new skills that I'm teaching you stick. and that you understand them. And then the strategies that we talk about, you're able to implement them and then maintain them going forward. It's a continuous relationship. It goes on and on. There are people that I started working with 5 years ago, still in contact today. Not because they're bad owners and they need help. It's just they want to kick ideas around. They have 5 years of experience. I have 8 times that experience. A lot of people that stick the name consultant after their name. I started a food truck 10 years ago. Now I consult with people. Well, good for you. You haven't even wrapped around all the potential days of the year yet as far as sales go. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, think about when your birthday is. This year it might be on Saturday. Next year it'll be on Sunday. Dates move as far as the relationship to the day of the week. So depending upon when this person started their business, it could take up to 11 years for them to experience the first of the month every single day of the week. But you're going, Bill, there's only 7 days. It should only take 7 years. Well, there's this thing called leap year. This year, 2024, is a leap year. And what that means is if your birthday last year was on Tuesday, this year it's skipping Wednesday and going to Thursday. So it can take as long as 11 years to be able to experience the same date all 7 days of the week. Somebody's been doing this 10 years. Will have not experienced that. And that's just one of the limitations of having only done this a short amount of time. 10 years, you're still wet behind the ears. You haven't done this long enough to have the experience to be able to see through and go, oh, you can't do that, and here's why. I'm not a cheerleader. I'm not the kind of coach that's going to say, yeah, let's do it. Go for it. Coaches ask a whole bunch of questions hoping you're going to get the answer. Trainers don't do that. I'm going to tell you this will work. Just do what I tell you to do. And when you have an idea, I'll say one of two things. Awesome idea, go for it. Or I've never done that. Not sure that'll work. When you engage a consultant, they're not going to be flexible. They're going to tell you this is how you do something because you're getting a consultant because you have a problem. Even though you may call a consultant, when you're first starting your business, they're only going to do what they know how to do based on whatever their limitation of experience is. Use an example a minute ago, 10 years in the business, and they throw up a website saying, I'm a food truck business consultant. I can help. 10 years, as I mentioned, not enough experience. But for a lot of people, that's an amazing amount of experience. Many food truck owners will never make it to 10 years. And a lot of them won't even make it to 5 years. But their 10 years worth of experience in 99% of the cases is going to be limited to 2 or 3 trucks within a small geographic area. My experience spans most of the southeastern United States, from Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, Georgia, Alabama, Florida. I've also worked in Texas, done restaurants, done street food vending. I have also worked in the Virgin Islands, which is a whole different world. They drive on the other side of the street for one, but it is a whole different world when you work on an island. Everything has to be brought to you. I've got experience, but I've got experience in different places. Big cities, little cities, very rural area. I live in a very rural area. Just as an example, we just did an every door direct mail drop. If you're not familiar with that, you need to check it out. But what it entails is you get to pick what mail route that your particular mailer goes out on. Typically, the routes are going to be between 550 to 7, maybe even 800, depending upon the complexity of the route. Our route had 625 people. And you're going, what? Right in the middle. Yes, it is. But it's how big our route is because we are rural. In order for our mail person to cover that many places, it's going out as far as 6 miles from our location, which is a big area to cover. One of the people I'm working with in Houston, Texas, we looked at theirs. They hit 600 people in less than a mile around their address. So I've been in the rural parts. I've been in the big cities. I worked in Orlando, worked in Altamont Springs, worked in Fort Pierce, Tampa. We had stores in Tampa. I've been in the big cities. I've also been in the rural areas, like a lot of you dealing with those things, and they have 2 different problems. You go with a consultant, they may have never even worked a food truck. They're in the food business. Trainers are going to focus on empowering you. I want you to stand on your own 2 feet. I tell everybody that gets into my coaching program or the training program, I tell them, I want you to stand on your own 2 feet. I don't want you having to call me for every single thing. I'm going to be there to support you, and you can contact me anytime you want, but I want to teach you how to do it so that you don't need me all the time. What that does is it makes you more satisfied with your job when you start to make your own decisions and they work. It's going to create higher morale for you as well as your team, because you're not having to say, wait, I got to call somebody. It's going to create improved performance in your organization. Consultants are going to be helpful, but they don't prioritize building your self-esteem and building up your confidence and building up your competence. All they want to do is fix whatever problem you hired them to do. Cost effectiveness. Working with a trainer, working with me specifically, is going to be much more cost effective. Another difference between a consultant and a business trainer, like I am, is cost effectiveness. A business consultant is going to charge you big money because they feel like, well, my experience is worth this amount of money, and I'm going to charge you for my entire education in one setting. So they'll charge you thousands of dollars. And you feel like, man, it's got to be worth it. Thousands of dollars, we can charge that. I can promise you anything that a consultant could possibly tell you, I'm going to tell you, and it's going to be way cheaper. Plus, I can back it up with, I've actually done it. I'm not going to fall back on my college education teaches me that I can do this, and this is what you should do. There are people out there with college educations that are teaching something that's impossible when it comes to food cost. They're telling you need to figure out your labor and your consumption of your propane and your generator gasoline. And you can't. It's impossible. But they don't know that because they've never done it. Why do I say it's impossible? Because it is. You can't figure out your labor that way. You might be able to figure out how much labor you have into prepping something, but the second that you're open, you're still burning labor. If you go the first half hour with zero sales, how do you divide that into the cost of that product? By adding in the labor. It becomes an infinite amount. But you know what? Consultants don't know that because they don't teach them that in college. What they teach them in college is if you're in a factory, this is how much labor goes into producing this little cog that goes into the product that you're making. Food service is not like that. Number one, our inventory is perishable. We are chasing dates. We never want to catch those dates, but we do occasionally. A college-educated consultant doesn't understand that because they have been taught hard line inventories. You buy something and it never expires. You assemble something, it's going to take a certain amount of labor to assemble it. But guess what? Food service, you burn labor whether you're busy or slow. A factory, they know they can produce 1,000 units a day and they can divide out the labor and they know what it's going to be because they're not depending upon someone to buy the units. All they're doing is manufacturing them to send them out. But yet there are people out there that are putting out ways to figure food cost that include trying to do labor and all the utilities. It's impossible. They wouldn't know that unless they've actually run a food business. So what I want you to understand, if you engage me, you engage a trainer, you engage somebody that cares about your business, you're getting a person that's going to be holistic with the training, the teaching. It's all going to go together. If you pay attention to what I talk about, we talk about food costs, but that is only one element. The food cost has to be put into a break-even point. And I can explain and teach you with the spreadsheets that I have how to figure your own break-even point and how you can adjust your own costs. Once you have a break-even point, now you can actually project sales if you want to do a business plan. The way that I project sales impresses bankers because I don't pluck a number out of the air and go, I want to do $1 million this year. And that means I need to sell 400,000 burgers. That's not anything other than just a guess. Let's do it the other way. Let's build it from the ground up. How can I get to $1 million in sales? It's going to take me selling this number of fries, this number of drinks, this number of burgers. And that translates into this number of guests. So if I want to do $1 million in sales, I'm going to need a certain amount of guests. Break that down to the number of days you're open, the number of hours you're open per day. That's how many people you got to have coming to your business. Comes back to now we have a marketing problem. How do we get those people to the business? Consultants don't do that kind of thing. They don't have the expertise to back up whatever time experience they have. Remember, I've done this for major corporations. They taught me how to do it. It wasn't me trying to figure it out on my own. When I finally did open up my own place, I already knew how to do everything because I had been taught by people that are way smarter than me how to do it all. How to market. We've had many meetings just on marketing. Many meetings on profitability. So remember, somebody that has been doing this, no matter what number of years they say, all they have is experience. Experience is not expertise. Expertise comes from being trained by people that are far more bright than you are. I was very lucky that the first 13 years I worked for a company, they invested a whole bunch of money in me to teach me how to do things. We had meetings upon meetings upon meetings on how to do things the correct way. They spent a ton of money to teach all of the management in their company how to operate a business. And I had 13 years of that. At some point, I became the one doing the teaching because I'd been through all of their programs. And then they had me teach those programs. And that experience got me into being the trainer at the different other chains that I worked for. Somebody that just throws open a food truck and thinks that I'm going to make an extra income stream by calling myself a consultant. The first 3 letters gives away what they are. Thank you so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your food truck business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. They've all got your back when it comes to helping you with your food truck. And again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow, because I got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.